Look at your hands. No, seriously, look at them. Now imagine those hands are dirty. Not the dirt from a day's work in the garden, but the grime of 3 months living on concrete. The filth has worked its way under your fingernails and into the cracks of your knuckles. It's cold, it's November, and the wind cuts like a razor blade. You are sitting in an alleyway behind an Italian restaurant, and the smell of garlic and tomato turns your stomach because you haven't eaten anything solid in 2 days. Your name is Elias. A year ago, you had a job in accounting, a wife, and a dog. Today, you have a chronic cough, a coat you found in a dumpster, and a single item of value in the pocket of your torn trousers. You pull your hand out. It's shaking. Not from the cold, but from fear. You unfold the crumpled green paper. A $50 bill. It is everything you are. It is your past, your present, and your future condensed into a piece of paper. You got it by selling your wedding band at a seedy pawn shop an hour ago. The guy gave you $50 for the symbol of your former life. An insult, but you took it. What are you going to do, Elias? Buy 5 burgers and survive 1 more week in this hell? Buy a bottle of cheap whiskey and forget who you are until the cold kills you. You stand up. Your knees crack. You look down the street. The city lights are shining, and in the center of it all, like a golden cathedral dedicated to greed, stands the Olympus Casino. Its neon lights flicker, promising one thing: hope. A false, toxic hope, but hope nonetheless. You start walking. It's not a rational decision. It's the instinct of a cornered animal. $50 won't get you off the street, but maybe, just maybe, $50 can buy you a night where you feel human again. You reach the revolving doors of the Olympus. The warm air rushing out smells of expensive perfume and ozone. The security guards are there, 2 huge guys in suits that cost more than everything you've ever owned. They look at you. Their eyes scan you, looking for a reason to kick you out. They see your scruffy beard, your dirty clothes. Your heart hammers against your ribs. The tension is unbearable. If they stop you now, you'll break. You'll burst into tears right there on the sidewalk, and it will be over. But there are a lot of people entering. A group of loud tourists serves as your shield. You lower your head, stick close to them, and slip through the revolving door. The noise hits you first. It's a cacophony of slot machines, ambient music, and the murmur of 1,000 conversations. Ding, ding, ding. The sound of possibility. You are inside. The relief is so intense you almost get dizzy. No one stopped you. You're warm for the first time in weeks. The marble floor reflects the ceiling lights. You feel like an intruder in a palace, a rat that has snuck into the king's pantry. You walk down the red carpet. You have the $50 bill clenched in your sweaty fist. You have to exchange it for chips. The cashier's cage looks like an impregnable bank. You approach the window. The cashier, a woman with too much makeup and a bored expression, looks at you over her glasses. You hand her the crumpled, damp bill. She takes it with 2 fingers, grimacing with disgust. She runs it through the machine to verify it's not counterfeit. Those seconds feel eternal. What if the guy at the pawn shop ripped you off? What if it's fake? The machine beeps. It's good. The cashier slides you 10 red chips, $5 each. Now you have weight in your pocket. The chips click as they hit each other. It is the most beautiful sound in the world. You walk away from the cage. Where do you go? Slot machines are for tourists who want to lose slowly. You don't have time. You are on a suicide mission. You see a roulette table. The polished wooden wheel spins hypnotically. The little white ball jumps. Clack, clack, clack. There are people around, drinking free cocktails. They look happy. They look clean. You approach the table. The dealer is a young man in an impeccable vest. "Place your bets," he says in a monotone voice. You look at the green felt layout filled with numbers. It's a minefield. You have $50. The table minimum is $10. You have 5 attempts, 5 bullets in the magazine. You put 2 red chips, $10, on black. Why? You don't know. Maybe because your life has been very black lately. The dealer spins the ball. No more bets. The tension returns. Your stomach tightens. The ball spins, bounces, flirts with red, skips over green, and drops. 20 black, the dealer says. You won. The dealer places 2 more red chips next to yours. Now you have $60. The relief is small, but real. You didn't lose on the first try. You're still alive. You play again. 10 on black. You lose. You're back to 50. The next hour is slow torture. You win 1, lose 2. Win 2, lose 1. Your little stack of chips goes up to 80, down to 30, up to 40. Cold sweat runs down your back. Every time the dealer takes your chips, you feel like a piece of your skin is being ripped off. You have $20 left, 4 red chips. You're worse off than when you started. Desperation begins to cloud your judgment. Hunger roars in your gut again. A waitress passes by with drinks. She doesn't even look at you. You're invisible again. You look at the last 4 chips. If you lose them, you go back to the alley, but this time with nothing, without the hope of the bill. It will be the end. A voice in your head, the voice of fear, tells you, leave. Cash them out for $20 and buy something to eat. Don't be an idiot. But there's another voice, a deeper, older voice, the voice that made you walk through the door. It tells you, if you leave now, you're already dead. You grab the 4 chips, the entire $20, and on an impulse you cannot control, you put them all on a single number. Black. The dealer looks at you. 20 on 17, he confirms. The people around the table go quiet for a moment. Betting on a straight number is for the crazy or the desperate. The payout is 35 to 1. If you win, you get $700. If you lose, the night is over. The dealer launches the ball. It spins and spins and spins. The outside world disappears. There is no casino, no hunger, no cold. Only that little white sphere and your number exist. The 17 looks back at you from the felt. The ball starts to drop. It hits a metal diamond. It bounces violently. It passes the red 32. It passes the green 0. It approaches your zone. It lands in the pocket of 17. It bounces once and stays still. The silence lasts a second, but it feels like a year. 17, black, the dealer announces. The air leaves your lungs in a whimper you try to suppress. It's not relief, it's shock, pure disbelief. The dealer starts counting chips, a lot of chips. He pushes a tall tower of colored chips toward you. $700, plus your original 20. $720. Your hands are shaking so much you can barely pick them up. The people around you stare. Some smile, others mutter, "Lucky guy." They don't know that 10 seconds ago you were a corpse, and now you have $720. You could leave. You could rent a motel room for a week, take a hot shower, eat until you burst, buy clean clothes at a supermarket. Logic screams at you to run. You gather your chips. You walk away from the roulette table. You need air. You feel dizzy from the adrenaline. You walk to the bar. You ask for water. The bartender serves it. You drink. The cold water clears your mind. You look at your reflection in the mirror behind the bar. You still see the hobo, but the eyes are different. They are no longer the eyes of a scared animal. There is a new glint, a different hunger. $720 is a lot of money for a homeless man, but it is not enough for a man who wants to reclaim his life. And that is when you realize you didn't come here to survive. You came to be reborn. And rebirth hurts. Rebirth is expensive. You look toward the center of the casino, where the tables have higher limits and the players wear real watches. The blackjack area. Here, you don't depend just on a bouncing ball. Here, you depend on your instinct, on knowing when to hit and when to stand. You walk toward a blackjack table. There are 3 players seated. They look like business types with loosened ties and half-empty glasses of whiskey. You sit in the empty chair. The velvet is soft. You had forgotten what it feels like to sit in a comfortable chair. The dealer, a middle-aged Asian woman with hands fast as lightning, looks at you. "Minimum's 50, sir," she says, looking at your chips with skepticism. You put $100 in the betting circle, 2 green chips of 50. The tension at this table is different. It is more cerebral. It's a silent duel between you and the casino. She deals you 2 cards, a king and a 7. You have 17. The dealer shows a 6. Basic rules say you stand. If the dealer has a hidden 10 card, she will have 16 and will have to hit, likely busting over 21. You stand. You wave your hand over the cards. The other players play their hands. One busts, the other stands on 19. The dealer flips her hidden card. It's a 9. She has 15. She's forced to hit. She pulls a card from the shoe. It's a king. 10 points. 15 plus 10 is 25. She busted. The house loses. You won. She pays you your $100. Now you have $820. The relief is immediate but short-lived, because you have to bet again. The next 2 hours are a roller coaster that defies cardiac health. You play with a concentration you didn't know you possessed. You count the high cards that have been played. You calculate probabilities. Your stack of chips grows. You reach $2,000. Then a bad run drops you to $1,500. The fear of losing it all is always there, crouching on your shoulder, whispering that you are a fraud, that it's just beginner's luck and it will end soon. But then it happens. You enter the zone. It's a strange mental state where the casino noise disappears. You only see the cards. You know what is coming before the dealer pulls it. You hit on a 12 against the dealer's 2, a risky move, and you catch a 9 to make 21. You double down when you have an 11 and catch a 10. The businessmen at the table have left, ruined or bored. Now it is just you against the dealer. You win 5 hands in a row, 10 hands in a row. Your bets go up. Now you're betting $500 a hand. The dealer has to call the pit boss to bring more chips to the table because she is running out of high denominations. The pit boss, a guy in an expensive suit and a sour face, approaches. He looks at you. This time, he doesn't look at you like a hobo who snuck in. He looks at you like a problem. He stands behind the dealer, watching every move you make. The pressure mounts. Now you have an audience. People start surrounding the table to see the dirty guy who is beating the house. You look at your stack of chips. You calculate quickly. You have about $25,000. $25,000. 3 hours ago, you were looking for food in the trash. Your body is screaming at you to stop. You're exhausted. Hunger gives you piercing headaches. Your hands are shaking. $25,000 is enough to rent a modest apartment for a year, buy clothes, food, maybe a used car. It is the exit. The door is open. You get up from the chair. The pit boss looks relieved. "Good run, sir," he says with a fake smile. You start gathering your chips into plastic trays. People applaud you timidly. You did it. You are the hero of the night. But as you walk toward the cage to cash out, you pass a roped-off area, the high-limit zone. Here, the air is even colder. The carpets are thicker. There is no slot machine noise, only the sound of very heavy chips. You stop. You look at your plastic trays with $25,000. It is a lot of money, but it's not $1 million. And before I tell you what Elias decided to do in that precise instant, standing on the border between salvation and madness, I need you to do something. If you have ever felt that irrational impulse to go all in, to not settle for just surviving, subscribe to the channel right now, because the second part of this night is going to defy everything you think you know about luck and destiny. Hit the button, because you don't want to miss the moment Elias crossed the line. Elias looks at the entrance to the high-limit zone. He knows that with $25,000, they will barely let him sit at one of those tables. Here, a minimum bet can be $5,000. He can lose everything he has won in 5 minutes. Logic screams at him, "Go home, cash out the money." Elias takes one step toward the cage, but his feet stop. His mind goes back to that cold alley. It goes back to the memory of his wife signing the divorce papers because he couldn't pay the bills. $25,000 doesn't erase that shame. $25,000 only cures the body, not the soul. Elias turns around. He walks toward the security guard guarding the entrance to the high-limit zone. The guard blocks his path, looking at his clothes with contempt. Elias lifts the 2 trays full of chips, purple chips of $500, yellow chips of $1,000. The guard looks at the money. He looks Elias in the eyes, and he sees something there that makes him take a step back. The guard unhooks the red velvet rope. Elias Vance, the hobo who 3 hours ago had $50, enters the sanctuary of millionaires. The real night has just begun. Silence. That is the first thing you notice in the high-limit room. Outside in the main casino, everything is noise and chaos. In here, the silence is thick, heavy. It smells of mahogany wood, old leather, and repressed fear. Elias walks toward the only active poker table, No Limit Texas Hold'em. There are 4 men seated. None of them look happy. They are professionals, sharks who have been devouring tourists all night. When Elias approaches, they look up. They see the dirty clothes, the matted hair, the dark circles. One of them, a bald man with gold sunglasses, whom we will call the surgeon, lets out a short, dry laugh. "I think you're lost, buddy. The kitchen is through the back door," says the surgeon. Elias doesn't answer. He drops his plastic trays onto the pristine green felt. The sound of the chips breaks the silence like a gunshot. $25,000. "Deal," says Elias. His voice is hoarse from disuse and cheap tobacco, but it doesn't shake. The dealer looks at the floor manager. The manager nods slightly. Elias sits down. The game begins, and the atmosphere changes instantly. Before, it was a game of bored gentlemen. Now there is a wild element at the table, a rabid dog loose at a black tie party. The first hands are fast. Elias plays with caution. He folds, he observes, he is learning the patterns. The surgeon is aggressive, mathematical, cold. Another player, a Texan with a hat, plays by instinct but is careless. Elias loses $5,000 in the first half hour. He drops to $20,000. Fear bites at his neck again. "Leave," his brain tells him. "You still have $20,000. It's enough." But Elias looks at the surgeon, who is stacking his chips with robotic precision, mocking him without saying a word. Then Elias receives a pair of queens. The surgeon raises the bet. Elias calls. The flop brings low cards, no danger. The surgeon bets big. He tries to buy the pot, thinking the hobo will get scared. But Elias doesn't see chips. He sees days of hunger. He sees nights sleeping in the rain. And he knows that the pain of losing is nothing compared to the pain of not trying. "I see it, and I raise 10,000 more," says Elias. The surgeon stops. He lowers his sunglasses. He looks Elias in the eyes. He tries to read him, but in Elias's eyes there is only a dark abyss. There is no logic to read. The surgeon throws his cards. Elias scoops the pot. He goes up to $35,000. From there, the night becomes a violent blur. Elias enters a trance state. He stops playing the cards and starts playing the people. He smells their fear. He knows when they are bluffing by the way they breathe, by the way they move their fingers. Hours pass. Elias's chips multiply. 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. The other players fall away. The Texan stands up, ruined, and leaves cursing. Another businessman retires saying he has to work tomorrow. At 5 a.m, only 2 men remain at the table. Elias Vance, the hobo, and the surgeon. Between the two of them, there is nearly $1.5 million in chips on the table. Elias has about 600,000. The surgeon has the rest. They are even. It is the decisive moment. The floor manager has brought coffee. Elias doesn't touch it. The caffeine would make him shake, and he cannot afford to show weakness. The surgeon is no longer smiling. He's taken off his jacket. He's sweating. He knows this hobo is dangerous. He knows Elias has nothing to lose, and that makes him the most terrifying opponent in the world. "Let's finish this," says the surgeon. The dealer deals. Elias looks at his cards. The 7 of diamonds and the 2 of clubs. The worst possible starting hand in poker. Absolute trash. Elias should fold, throw the cards, lose the small blind, and wait for a better opportunity. It is what any sensible person with $600,000 in front of them would do. But Elias looks at his stack of chips. $600,000. It is a fortune, but it is not the million. If he folds now, he will still be rich, but he will always be the man who folded to the bully. Elias looks at the surgeon. He sees a nervous tick in his jaw. The surgeon has a strong hand, probably an ace and a king or a high pair. If Elias plays this hand, it has to be a bluff, a total, suicidal, life-or-death bluff. He has to lie with every cell of his body. "I raise," says Elias. He puts 50,000 in the center. The surgeon smiles. He has taken the bait. Call. The flop falls. Ace of hearts, 9 of spades, jack of clubs. A terrible flop for Elias. The surgeon almost certainly has connected with that ace. The surgeon checks. He is very sure of his hand. Elias has to make a decision. He has about $450,000 behind. If he checks, he shows weakness and will lose the hand at the end. If he bets, it has to be an amount that terrifies the surgeon. Elias grabs a tower of chips. 200,000. The surgeon hesitates for the first time. He looks at the board. He looks at Elias. Could he have a set? 2 pair? He doubts for a whole minute. Finally, his greed wins. Call. Now the pot has more than $700,000. The river arrives. The last card. A king of hearts. The final board is ace, 9, jack, 4, king. If the surgeon has an ace, he has won. If he has a pair of kings, he has won. Elias has 7 and 2. He has absolutely nothing, not even a low pair. He has air. The surgeon checks for the 3rd time. Now is the moment. The world stops. Elias looks at his last chips. He has about $250,000 left. If he bets and gets caught, he is left with 0. Well, not 0. He is left with the memories. If he folds, he loses the pot and keeps $250,000. But Elias didn't come for $250,000. Elias grabs the rest of his chips with both hands. He pushes them to the center with a sudden movement. The chips scatter, a cascade of colored plastic. "All in," he whispers. The surgeon freezes. All in. Now the surgeon has to put his entire tournament, his entire night, his entire ego at risk. He has to pay $250,000 to see the cards. The surgeon starts doing calculations out loud. There's an ace on the table. You could have the set or the straight, but you've played very aggressively. He looks at Elias. He looks for a sign. He looks for fear. But Elias is thinking about the sandwich he is going to eat. He is thinking about how soft a hotel bed will be. He has accepted his fate. If he loses, he goes back to the street. The street doesn't scare him. He already knows it. That is Elias's advantage. The surgeon is afraid of losing his money. Elias is not afraid of being poor again. The surgeon sweats. He takes off his glasses. He rubs his eyes. 2 minutes pass. 3 minutes. The floor manager says, "Sir, I need a decision." The surgeon looks at his hand. He has ace and queen. Pair of aces with a good kicker. It is a monster hand. But what if Elias has 2 pair? What if he has the set? The surgeon looks at the money in the center. It is too much risk. "I can't do it," he mutters. He grabs his cards and throws them into the muck. "I fold," he says with a bitter voice. "Show me the set, hobo." Elias doesn't move. The dealer pushes the mountain of chips toward him. It is an obscene mountain, more than $1 million in total. Elias has won, without cards, just with guts. The surgeon screams at him, "Show them! I paid to see those cards all night. Have the decency to show them!" Elias gathers his million. He stands up slowly. He looks at the surgeon. He picks up his 2 cards, the 7 and the 2. He lifts them in the air and lets them fall face up on the table. The silence breaks. The surgeon jumps to his feet, his face red with anger, eyes wide. "With that? You pushed me out with that?" Elias smiles. For the first time in years, he smiles for real. Money isn't won with cards, friend. It's won with balls. Elias gathers the chips. He puts them in the bags that security brings him. He goes to the cage. The count takes 20 minutes. $1,042,000. They give him a check and $50,000 in cash for expenses. Elias walks toward the casino exit. It is 7 in the morning. The automatic door is open. The morning sun hits his face. The air is fresh and clean. The city is waking up. Elias walks down the stairs. A taxi is waiting. The taxi driver sees him. He sees the old clothes, although now he is carrying a new duffel bag the casino gave him. "Where to, boss?" asks the driver, hesitating to let him in. Elias opens the door. He sits down. The seat is comfortable. He reaches into his pocket. He pulls out the original $50 bill, the one that started it all. It's even more crumpled now. He looks at it for a second, then he hands it to the driver. "Take me to the airport and keep the change. That bill brings good luck." The taxi starts and drives away toward the golden horizon. Elias Vance arrived like a ghost and leaves like a legend. We don't know what he will do with the million. Maybe he buys a house. Maybe he wins his wife back. Or maybe he goes to an island and disappears. But one thing is certain, never ever will he be cold again. And you, if you had just one chance, one single ticket, one single night to change your destiny, would you have dared to push those chips? Think about it. See you in the next video.